Hello everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another crafty video. In this video I am not going to be showing updates on what I'm working on, but I am instead going to be talking about what things I would like to work on this summer. I'm going to be talking about cross-stitch projects, some knitting and crocheting, books that I would like to read, and then also at the very end I will mention some games that I would like to play this summer. The reason being is I feel like during the summer I have slightly less time for stitching because my kids are out of school, and I also just want to be able to kind of focus on a few things. So I went through and was like, what are the things that I would like to work on this summer, things that I can try and like motivate myself to get done, because I do seem to work better like during Monogamous May when I had like a goal. I had something I was working towards doing, and so I kind of want to do that for this summer, is to just pick some things to work on to try and keep myself motivated when it's hot and you might not really be wanting to do anything, you know. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start with cross stitch, and it's not surprising, but this summer I do want to work on Autumn Harmony, which is artwork by Maxine Gadd, and it's a project I originally wanted to get finished this year. I don't know if it's going to happen or if it will carry into next year just because I haven't been working on it as much recently, but I do want to work on it this summer. I'm not setting a numbers goal for it just because I don't know how much stitching time I will have this summer, just because I end up going like and being outside and stuff, and when I'm outside it's easier to like knit or crochet or read a book or something like that, so I don't know how much stitching time I will have. I will also be working on Drinks on the Beach, which is the Haid 2025 stitch along, and I will be inserting, it's right back here actually. I have worked on this one since Monogamous May, but I was not recording, so here's where I'm at on Drinks on the Beach. I filled in some more of the oranges here, and I also, I think, filled in some of the blues since the last time you saw it, so there is like a mini update on something, and this is the only thing that I've worked on though since Monogamous May, and it is currently, I think it's Wednesday, June 11th, so yeah. That's all I've worked on. So I'm going to work on this more. I think part 3 of this stitch along will come out on July 1st, I think. But I'm just trying to finish parts 1 and 2, and that's it for this year. So I'm just going to be working more on the stitch along. This is also a 32 count fabric, 1/110 stitch. So stitching on this one, it's not really a portable project because I need to have good lighting to be able to see the stitches because they are so small. So there's that. And then a project that I would like to get finished this summer is the project which is called Northern Lights. I bought this off of Etsy. I think the Etsy shop is Climbing Goats Designs, and it only has 5,900 stitches left, so I do think that I can possibly get it finished this summer, and that way I will at least have one other finish, and that means I could have a new start going into fall if I wanted to, but I don't know if I am going to. So there are the projects that I plan on working on for sure. And then also I went through my WipGo boards because I am really behind on WipGo. If you don't know, WipGo is by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She has a whole video where she explains it, and every month 2 numbers are picked, and those are the projects that you will work on. I have 2 WipGo boards, and one of them is a board that just has, I think it's 5 projects, and they're my favorite projects, and they're on there multiple times. Wait, it might just be 4. I think it's 4 projects on there 5 times. And then I also have a board that's like themes. So it will have things like seasonal, and then whatever season we're in, I will pick a project that matches that season. And that way I have a little bit more freedom to pick a project that I am feeling in the mood for. So I'm behind on WipGo because I haven't done it very much this year. So I just wrote down all of the WipGo pieces that have been called, and then if during the summer I am bored with those 3 projects that I'm going to be working on, I will try and like rotate through my WipGo. So things that I can possibly work on. So for seasonal, it is currently, it's almost summer. It's, you know, like a week away where I am. It will be summer. And so I picked Drinks on the Beach for that because I'll already be working on it, and it's the only really summery piece that I have. And then there was also a project that's tent stitch. Drinks on the Beach is a tent stitch project, so I just figured I'd put that too, just to give myself a couple easy ones. And then the project that's at the lowest percentage is Disneyland Map. I'll insert pictures for all these, which is by Xana Cross Stitch on Etsy, and it's only at like 1.9%. I had like multiple projects that are only at 2%, but Disneyland Map was the lowest because it wasn't even at 2. It was at 1.9. So I'll be working on that hopefully this summer. And then there is the project, or the category was long dog, and I picked to work on my long dog sampler that is called Dragon Hall, because that's another smaller one that if I work on it a little bit, I might get it closer to where I can focus on a finish for that project. So I would like to work on Dragon Hall. And then a charting creations piece, which was hard for me to pick because I have, I think, 4 charting creations pieces. I love charting creations. I have 2 wintry ones. I have Heaven on Earth 2, I have Santa's on His Way, I have Sanctuary, and I have Yennefer. I think that's it. And it was really hard because I was thinking like I could do Christmas in July and do Santa's on His Way, or I was thinking about doing Sanctuary because the colors are kind of summery, but I picked Yennefer just because I haven't worked on it in a while and I do want to stitch the black mask on Yennefer, so I will be working on that hopefully for WIPGO. And then another category was Artisy, and I have 2 Artisy pieces, and I don't know which one I want to pick yet because there is Walking in the Rain, which I was thinking about doing, and then the other Artisy piece I have is Dear Alice, and that's the one where I'm stitching it on 18 count, and I'm not sure if I want to restart it on a 28 count. And so I don't know which piece to pick. I'm leaning towards Walking in the Rain just because I don't want to make a decision yet on Dear Alice on if I should restart it or not. So that's up in the air, and so I haven't written anything down for that yet. And then Pain Free Crafts was another like themed one that was picked. And I have, I think, 2 Pain Free Crafts. I have Dark Cinderella and I have Cozy Winter Book Nook, and Cozy Winter Book Nook is already going to be picked from my other board, so I decided to work on Dark Cinderella because it hasn't been worked on in a while, and it will also just add a little bit of variety in case I get bored with other pieces. So then from my board that has just like, 4 charts that are my favorite charts, Witcher was picked 4 times on that board, so I need to work on Witcher a lot at some time. Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Sampler was also picked. Also, Witcher is by Thread Geeks. I love their charts. They just had a chart come out that's called like Dragon Riders, I think, by Krista Bug, and it's a 4th wing chart. And I was just like, I want it, but I also don't have time to start it, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. But anyways, so Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Sampler was picked twice on the One WIPGO board. Rose Library, which is by Unconventional X Stitch, was picked twice, and Cozy Winter Book Nook was picked once so far. And that takes us to June WIPGO, because then July will be called during the summer, and then August. So more things are going to get added to this WIPGO list as the summer goes on, so that could possibly, you know, change as time goes on. I was also going to mention too that for my WIPGO pieces, I don't have a goal or a set amount of days or number of stitches I have to do. So for like the ones where it's like work on them 4 times, that will just be whatever I decide it is. Like if I work on it, you know, 4 days in a row, I could consider that 4 times. So I don't have a set amount of stitches to reach on a project. It's just whenever I work on it. So the next category is going to be knitting and crochet, and this one is going to be like a lot of trying to finish because I have multiple knitting and crochet projects on the go, and I would really like to get them all wrapped up this summer so I can move on to some other things once we get to the fall and winter. So the first thing that I will talk about is the 2% crochet along, which is a blanket that I am making, and I have showed it in my videos before. I have a whole bunch of like yarny things over here. So the 2% crochet along, this is where I am. I think I'm on row 43 out of, I think 60 something. I don't know exactly. And I am using the Lion brand mandala yarn, and these are the bigger cakes because they have different sizes of the cakes. I don't have one of the bigger ones, but I have one of the small ones. So they have like these smaller cakes, but this is a bigger cake where there is more, where the color changes are more spread out so that you get like bigger chunks of color. So I am using the color Sasquatch, which I love this color. I love how it's working up. And if you are also making it, like I said, I think I'm on row like 43 and I'm almost done with the first cake. So it's for sure going to take 2. I'm hoping it doesn't need 3 because I only have another one of this color because I got it when Joann's was going out of business. And so yeah, I want to finish this blanket this summer, hopefully. It's going to be hot though, because obviously it's getting hotter now, and working on a blanket right now, not the best timing. I would also like to try and finish my socks. I started these socks in the spring. I am using the yarn, it's Patent Croy in the color Celestial, I think, and I have both of the socks started. They are kind of wrapped up in my other yarn though. So I have both socks started. I think I'm just going to do kind of like a shorter leg on these. And so this is 40 rows of the leg, and I think that's all I'm going to do is just do like a shorter sock. And so I still need to do more of the leg on this, and then I'll be at the cuffs and turning and all that stuff. I'm making just a vanilla sock because that's the only sock I've ever made so far in my sock journey, and I just really love like a nice simple sock. Other thing I want to finish is the Red Heart Crochet Flower Power Wrap cardigan, which is a free pattern that you can find on their website. I can't remember what their website's called right now though, Yarn Inspirations or something. And you use the Red Heart Flower Power yarn, and it makes these squares that has a flower where the colors change on their own. And I am using the colors called for, which are Black Dahlia and Daisy Dew. Here is a Daisy Dew one. They're all like tied together. So here are the 2 that I'm using, the colors. And I have 13 of the Daisy squares. I have 11 of the Black Dahlia. I think you needed like 19 or 17 of them. So I am getting close to having the correct amount of squares. And then I will have to do all like the weaving ends and sewing it together and all that stuff. But I'm getting close. And I want to have that finished because, like I said, I would like to just try and like wrap up some projects that I've been working on so I can have like a clean slate and also get things organized, because after the Joann sale, I have so much yarn everywhere. I don't feel like I really bought that much, but some of it is just bigger cakes because I have the mandala yarn, but I also have the bigger cakes and they take up a lot of space. So I really need to get things finished and just start getting things put away. Then the next thing that I would like to work on goes into my Joann yarn. I kind of would like to make some sort of a tank top this summer, and I'm not exactly sure which tank top, but I do have some yarn that I got from Joann. I have this yarn here, which is a K&C yarn. I've never tried this yarn before, but this is a cotton, 100% cotton, and I have it in this color, and I also have a blue. And so I can't decide if I want to do like a striped blue and gray or if I want to just do like a solid color. But I have cotton yarn and I would like to try and use some of it to make a tank top for the summer. The last thing is something that I won't be able to finish this summer. I'm also not entirely sure where it went. I found it. So the last thing that I would like to work on for my knitting and crochet is my blankets. I have 2 scrap blankets that I've been working on for a while at this point, and one of them is a memory blanket where you're doing the mitered squares, and it's a knit blanket, and this is all I have so far. But I do have more scrap yarn that I can add to it, and so I would like to get more added to it to just start getting progress on this, because I have not worked on this in a while. And so yeah, I want to work on this blanket, get more added to it. And then I also have a granny square blanket that I started, and it's using fingering weight yarn, so the squares are tiny, and I also can't find some of the squares. I put them away somewhere to keep them safe, and now I don't know where that was, but I have a couple of them, some recent ones that I've made. And so I have like this one, and I have this pink one, and I don't know where the other ones are, but I've made a few of them, quite a few, and I need to keep making more. And then I also think that instead of making a blanket, I might make something else, like a bag, a scarf, just anything else. You know, you can make them into anything. Okay, not anything, but I have seen, like, I watch Passionate Kelsey, and she makes a lot of different granny square things. Like, she's made like a granny square like belt bag type thing where she actually used like a zipper. There is a zipper that's for yarn specifically that you can like crochet into, I think. And so yeah, there are other things that I can make other than a blanket, and that way I can use that yarn for something instead of having it sit forever. The next thing that I will be talking about is books. I will try and go through the books kind of quick. So the first section I have is ARCs, which are advanced reader copies that I get off of NetGalley, and then you get to read them early and then leave a review on Goodreads or whatever. And I have 5 currently that I need to read. I have a few requests in, and you just have to wait and see if you get approved or not. But I have 5 so far. One of the ones isn't technically out until next year in 2026, so I have time for that. But I have The Case of the Body on the Orient Express, which comes out July 14th. And I also tried to list these in order of when they come out because I do try and read the books and review them before they are out. And then I have a book called Island of Dreams, which is by Jay Viner, that comes out July 22nd. Soul of Shadows, which comes out July 29th. And that was one I was really excited to get from NetGalley because I saw the author, I followed them on Instagram. And so when I saw that they had the book go up on NetGalley, I was so excited to get that book. And then there's also Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which comes out in September on the 2nd. So that's one where if I haven't read some of the other books on my list, I can technically push that one to the end of the summer because it doesn't come out until September. And then the last one is one that I got approved for yesterday, which is We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark, who is the author of the Kingdom of Lies series. And I was so excited that I got this arc. I had been waiting like 2 weeks to get approved, and I just got approved yesterday, and I like was just yelling, like not yelling, but I was just like internally yelling because I was really excited to be able to read this. And this was the one that doesn't come out until 2026. I think it's in January 2026. So I have time. So if I can't finish it this summer, I did start it already, and it's about vampires. So it's got like magic and stuff, but also vampires. So it's interesting. And then I have books that I currently have physically on my shelf that I own that I would like to read because I feel like I always read arcs recently, and I've also been reading my library books because they're, you gotta return them, and so I kind of neglect my shelf. So books I have on my shelf that I would like to read is House of Leaves. I got this one. Someone in the comments said to read this one, so I got this, and it's a crazy, crazy book. Like, I don't understand how you read this, but I'm gonna be doing it this summer. I also need to finish Catching Fire, which is in the Hunger Games series. I started it in the spring sometime, and then I got sidetracked, I think, by library books and stuff. I would like to read Scythe, which I've heard is a really good book, so I need to read this one. And this is part of a series, so once I read the first one, I'll probably want the second one because that's usually what happens. And then there's also the book Servant of Earth, which is by an author who's local. And so I got this book signed because you can get them signed from Village Books, which is a local bookstore, so mine's signed. And I need to read it this summer because there is another book in this series that comes out in, I think, the fall. And so if I like this one, then I would like to pre-order the second one so I can also get it signed. So that is my book category. And then real quick will be games. I have started a lot of games. I don't always finish them because I think like a lot of us do that with all our crafts, whether it's sewing, cross-stitching, crocheting, knitting. You start a lot of things, you don't always finish them. So games. I started Atelier Ryza on Steam Deck and Fantasy Life on Steam Deck, and I would like to get them closer to being finished this summer. They're nice little cozy games, so it's not going to be too stressful. But there's also the Steam Summer Sale coming up in like a week or two, so who knows what I'll buy then. I also would like to play more Overcooked because my kids love the game Overcooked, and it's going to be summer, so that will be something to do with them. And I also need to get back to Hyrule Warriors on the Switch, which I haven't really been playing Switch since I got my Steam Deck, but I still have a lot of games that I need to beat on Switch, so that is what I would like to do this summer across all my categories. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, and I also need to go and get my kids, so I can't keep going. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. You can let me know down below if you have any goals or things you would like to do this summer, even though I don't want to call these goals because it's going to be hard to do some of this stuff when I have, you know, kids around all the time and we're going out and doing stuff. But so yeah, those are just my plans, things I would like to do. Not gonna call them goals. Thank you though for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!